What's good with the YouTube? You already know Big Flaco from a convict's not convict's perspective. Big Flaco from Felons to Men podcast. I just caught myself, man. Almost got caught slipping, man. I'm on P's and Q's. I wanted to see if Toko was paying attention, and he was. He started to spot right when I said
it. Or boys to men, right?
Burpees now.
Yesterday.
The bet was about. I have to do some burpees now. Yeah, boys to men. Felons to Men podcast. This is where we address all kinds of different issues. You know, everything from coming on parole to being a father, to getting a job, to things that you may struggle with in your life, man, and as well as issues out there in the community and in society. And I noticed in the last 9 months that there's been a lot of traction of especially down south, man, within racial relations. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of it's particularly within the Hispanics and the blacks, Latinos, and whatnot. Because California is really a diverse state, you know what I'm saying, in the central core areas, the metropolitan areas, whereas the rural areas in California are mainly white. So you're going to experience racism in a lot of those counties. We already know that. But a couple issues that we've seen recently, man, we've had the LA County councilwoman, you know what I'm saying? That was recently brought up about her making some racial disparaging remarks. You've had individuals like Charleston White, you know what I'm saying, who's dissed nothing but Mexicans out there and made literally on a rampage saying that he wants to create a race war. Individual Tariq, another one. And both sides. It ain't just one side is at fault, man. I was kind of surprised at some of the OGs that actually had done time in the pen, right, who came out and were kind of advocating and speaking on past issues. And a lot of it's centered around the gang community. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think people realize that sometimes that could transcend and affect other areas as well. You know what I'm saying? And what is your opinion on all this?
A lot of people have a lot of strong opinions, don't they?
They do.
And it just goes to show, though, of course, just my opinion. No one knows what the next man or woman goes through, right? Especially if they're of color, if they're not from this country. And it seems like every decade or so, especially after the wars over in the Middle East, you get an influx of immigrants from other countries that come in, and the racial tensions start all over again. And it brings up everything else from black, white, brown, and then it just brings up a lot of hurt. That's what I see. That's my opinion on it, man. And why these guys that you mentioned are so strong on it. There's some merit to it. You know what I mean? They got a right to feel the way that they feel, and sometimes feelings spill over into hate. And sometimes you can sound when you're giving your opinion, sometimes you could sound like the very thing that you despise, and it's like reverse racism, and then that's what shit starts all this tension, and you know what I mean? And it's just a bad look. I mean, I feel for everybody, being somebody of color myself and being brown. I don't sit there and, there's hundreds of stories, especially being locked up, especially coming up in the game that we came up in, man. And then, of course, being what my race is, right? And then rolling and being raised by the raza in the streets. You know what I mean? The cortura, everything, man. It's just, and people just think, I used to be called all kinds of shit back in the day. You know what I mean? And I know a lot of homies, I can't speak for down south, but, speaking from everything up north, right? And the Central Valley and stuff like that, when you grow up in these urban areas and you live amongst a certain ethnic group, right? And you live in these areas, it becomes part of who you are, and it becomes who you are. And people try to always take that from you because they always think and feel that you should live and breathe the way that they do, right? Kind of like with when people push religion down your throat and things like that, and
Yes.
then those boys and girls, they grow up to to be like me and you and everybody else that suffers some form of racism, man, and you know, but it's not something that I touch on too much, right? But in light,
You sure gave me the idea though.
Right. You know what I mean? Because and you were there when we got these shirts, man. You know what I mean? Last time we all had got together live and direct.
That's when I fell out. I was talking about. That's when I fell out and fucking thought I was a kid.
Yeah.
Hey, I need your reports. I did it again last night, guys.
Yeah. Yeah. Flaco fell asleep on me last night, man, offline, and he was taking it back to Solano, talking about things. I'm like, good Lord. You know what I mean? But in between that and snoring, you know what I mean? The man burns the candle at 5 different ends, even though he's only got 4. So that tells you, man, he's always hustling. Anyway,
I got something I want to add to this, right? And I want your thoughts on this, right? So, this is what I truly think, man. I think that sometimes all these groups, Asian don't really push as much, but the ones that have more of a loud voice in the communities when it comes to these issues are usually Raza or African Americans. I think currently with the things I've seen, right, the issues that have been raised and so forth, I think even when they present it on the table, I think it causes more dissension because I think sometimes we're becoming our own cancer culture. You get what I'm saying? That sometimes people are pushing issues that are so minimal that 30 years ago we would have been fucking like, we would be happy to have the issues that we have today. You know what I'm saying? Compared to what was going on 40 years ago. I think sometimes people get too carried away pushing the issue, and then therefore you're gonna have a back and forth attack. Like one of the key issues now that you're hearing is, you know, after say the American Controller got the Tiger video took him down, right? You know, that's a victory in some senses, right? But what are going to be the end results of that though? Was it really that offensive? I mean, I don't know. I really didn't trip off it as much. You know what I mean? If majority are going to support that, then I'm all for it, right? But sometimes I take a step back and I think, well, is this going to cause more division? Because shortly thereafter, you started having a lot of rappers and people on YouTube talking about, well, we want you guys to stop saying the N-word. They got a point there. You get what I'm saying? They got a huge point there, man. And see, that's what I'm saying is that sometimes we got to pick and choose what battles are worth fighting. And I think that the system wants to create these issues because as long as you have black and brown going against each other, Asians, even whites, because it's not about race necessarily here. It's about class, right? It's more about, you know, those that have money and those that don't. You know what I'm saying? It just happens that most minorities are the ones that are less inclined to have money. You know, that's what I see, you know, and I see individuals like, you know, which I want to do an episode on this channel in the future, like Adam 22 and DJ Vlad that are basically culture vultures, man, and they're stirring the pot. You know what I'm saying? And I think that people need to really limit the issues they decide to push and push the issues that are really relevant, that really affect us as a whole.
Yeah. Yeah, I think social media is powerful, man. That's what it boils down to, you know, and you talk about the thing with the American Cholo and the Tiger situation. That was all handled through social media, YouTube, right? So I think that's also important to keep in mind is that regardless of how popular a channel is or a topic is, man, all people got to do is just look it up at YouTube and hear somebody's opinion, you know, like the Charleston Whites and all these other cats. And then, like I said, man, you know, I mean, you know, I keep, I ain't got nothing to say. I ain't got nothing to say on all that because I'm old school when it comes to all that. You know what I mean? That, I mean, you know what time it is and you know what I'm getting at. You know, individuals like that, man, they don't last too long. But, you know, other people have told me though, man, that they got a lot of strong support, you know, and that just goes to show. It just goes to show what people really think behind closed doors, right? And I'm not saying anything. I'm not fucking speaking foreign here either. You know, hear what I say when I say that. When they voted Trump into office, right? No, everybody couldn't believe it, and nobody could believe it. But when I was in the joint, you know, and I turned around and there were people just like, damn, man, the country's gonna go. And I laughed and just said, man, how many people in here were for it? How many of your neighbors out on the streets? That just goes to show you. It was no mistake he got into office. He was voted in, you know, and he won by a landslide from what I, you know, I mean, I really, it was so long ago, I don't remember now, but he, bottom line was he won, right? And then we were stuck with him for a few years, and for all the good things he did, he put his foot in his mouth about certain things. And like I said, man, I'm not speaking on nothing that nobody done seen for themselves, but it just goes to show you, though, man, people could say one thing, but when they have these secret ballots and these secret votes, we are the people, right? We live in America. We are the people that they talk about, you know, and you know, when you vote, you know, I mean, you kind of got to look over your shoulder. You know, when these certain people get in office, because the majority voted. Yeah, you could say, you know, cheating and scamming and doing all this and that, man. But, you know, us as a people, that's what this country was built on, right? Among all the other blood that was spilled and the land that it was taken. And that's a whole nother subject for another time. You know, I'm talking about, you know, I mean, the indigenous people that were here before anybody, right? And,
Are you
you
good
know,
on that topic? We should touch on that in the future.
yeah, you know, we could definitely do that. You know what I mean? And but just social media is powerful, man. You know what I mean? And trying to get your point across can come off hateful. And I'm just speaking from somebody from the outside looking in. You know, like I said, my opinions are my opinions. I'm
Yeah.
not trying to be politically correct, but I'm also trying to be sensitive, man, because I don't count how many minority friends I got or how many white friends or Asian friends or whatever. They're all motherfucking people.
That's
You know what I
key.
mean? We
That's
grew
key
we
because
grew
that's what
we grew up in Santa Clara County. You know what I mean? And how motherfucking diverse was Milpas? How diverse was Sanjo? You know what I mean? That's why there
yep.
was no, as far as the gang culture and all that shit goes, man. That's why there was no black and brown tensions up north. You know, I mean, people could say what they want. Oh, you know, you guys are trying to be this, you're trying to be that. And it wasn't everybody. You know, I knew who the fuck I was, and everybody else that was around me. You know what I mean? But the culture was just, it was loose, it was different. And then, like I said, then you go down south and you talk to some of the raza down there, and it's completely different, man. You know what I mean?
Too many layers. You know what
It
happened?
borderlines on life and death sometimes, man. And it's a damn shame that all these years later we're talking about this shit in 2022. That's what makes me upset. All
Too
the
many
things
labels,
that
bro.
happen.
Too many
Yeah.
labels. Everything's labels attached to everything, bro. Like North Daniel, Sud Daniel, active, inactive, black, white. You know what I'm saying? There's no, that, you know, and that causes it right there, man. Like that causes so much separation and division, man. Like I said, man, you know, these issues that have occurred that I was seeing that were developing, which have kind of mellowed out, which is cool. There's a whole lot of bigger issues out there that need to be addressed. Whole lot. You know what I'm saying? That the fentanyl stuff needs to be addressed. You know what I mean? You know, some of the man, I'm not, I can go down a whole long list of shit, man, and things that are just fucking up in this country right now, man.
Sure. If the stress level is
You
high,
know,
the economy is all fucked up, and inflation is at an all-time high, man. And it's like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. And that's why it's important for men and women and everybody else out there, right? You know, to have an out. You got to have an out, man. You got to have somebody you can bump shit off of, man. You can't go around with this monkey on your back, for lack of a better term, and then just breed all this hate and think you're going to get through the day trying to do something positive, especially if you're married, especially if you've got kids, especially if you haven't dealt with any painful issues you got within yourself, man. You know what I mean? A homeboy told me a
everybody.
long time ago, man, if you're not good to yourself, you're no good to anybody else around you,
That's
including your
true.
family.
That's
You know what I
true.
mean? So
That's most
everybody's got
definitely
to
true.
check their motives and check how they feel. And, you know, like I said, man, I always say, man, you are responsible for what you say and do no matter what the fuck you're going through. So be careful and choose your words wisely. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm saying, man. You know, this isn't a foreign language we're speaking here. This is something that a lot of people don't like to touch on for obvious reasons. But, you know, I think if you do touch on race like you and I talked about offline, man, you got to touch all the bases. You gotta understand, you know, what the Africanos or the blacks are going through, what the minorities, Latinos, and the Hispanics, and all, like you said, all these other labels, man. Everybody's got their issues, and everybody's got, you know what I mean, that billy club to the fucking back of the head by the man, you know. And the only way that you're gonna beat them is to do it on paper. That's why vote. You know, it's the only positive thing that you can do. If you don't like it, man, you know, become a part of that system that's broken. Fix it. You know, the little things that I do, the little videos that I do. That's why you don't see me get on all the time, man. It's just when things need to be said and when things kind of need to be brought back down to a level, man, to where I'm comfortable coming on YouTube. You know, there's enough hate out there in the world, man, and you see that shit every fucking day. Pardon my French. You know what I mean? But it's true. There's enough hate to go around, man. And like I said, I got kids, and one day I'm gonna have grandkids, you know, and one day I'll probably have another family, and so on and so forth, man. You know, and life is moving in a positive direction, but because I'm making shit happen, I'm taking all that pain and all that bullshit that I went through, and I'm turning it into something positive, little by little. As long as I'm moving forward, Flaco, there ain't no stopping it. Sometimes it's an inch at a time. Sometimes I'm running. Sometimes, you know, sometimes days are better than others, man. But you know what? If I could sprinkle a little bit of happiness on somebody, man, from a kind word, you get a lot farther than that, man, than just putting your head down and passing somebody up. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people, they need that, at least in my circle, man. And we talk about these things all the time. And like I said, it's a fine line on what we can do on YouTube, or what I'll do on YouTube. Speak for myself, since, you know, the topic lately has been everybody stands alone, right? It's just that, you know, you just try to be careful.
Yeah, you got to
exactly.
be careful.
Divide and
Man.
conquer, man.
Anyway,
that's you know.
I think I want to end it on that note, because I think that everything you said was pretty much just up to par, and I think it simplifies everything. I think that it's not a complicated issue. It's simple. It's very simple. It's not really, but people make it harder than it needs to be, man. There's going to be feelings, there's going to be emotions, there's going to be all kinds of things. You know what I mean? But
right.
You know, you got to live in the moment sometimes, not always live in the past, and it becomes difficult though, man. Anyways, that was Snip that just called me right now, man.
Yeah, you know what I mean. There it is. There, you just got another 1,000. Man, yeah, man. You know what I mean.
1,000 subscribers now.
Another 1,000 subscribers, man, just on that comment alone, there, man, or 1,000 more comments, right? You know what I mean, man. But back to, I'll end with this. You know what I mean. We'll end with this, man, and then we'll get to this live. Everybody that I talked to, you know, since I've been home, I came home, and then the George Floyd thing. You know, I was gone for 10 years. Then I came home, and within that year that I was, you know, within those couple of years that I was back, the George Floyd incident happened, and all those racial tensions, and where I was living at the time. You know what I'm saying, in Hawaii, and everybody that I had talked to, you know, you just wanted to help. You just wanted to be a part of that and understand all that. But for those of us from the outside looking in, because people made it a color issue, right? You know what I mean? A white cop doing something to, you know, a black man there in Minnesota. It was just that, listen, you know, if you ask a question, be coherent and listen. If you ask what you can do to help, man, listen. Everybody I talk to, 95% of everybody that's had anything bad done to them, or suffer from all this racism and all this shit that we're talking about right now, they've all told me the same thing, what you just said. Simplify it, Toko. Just listen, man. Sit down and have a cup of coffee with me, man. Let me burn your hair. Don't create the problem.
Don't create the issue unless you really got the backing to support it. It's kind of
exactly.
I was gonna say, you know what's funny is that, you know, Crazy Stories was a witness in that case. So if that's the kind of people that dude was hanging out with.
Crazy Stories. Who's Crazy Story? Oh,
the dude
man.
from Minnesota.
Yeah.
That made me laugh, man. Anyways, you know, okay, guys, before I end this post, man, this video, I think I'm gonna start going live sometimes in the afternoon on this channel when I have some downtime and I'm not working on anything. I know Toko's at work, so I appreciate, you know, if you guys are up around lunchtime, maybe I'll tap in every once in a while for a half hour, man, and we'll discuss some real topics and stuff, man.
Yeah, man.
Anyway,
You know,
Found the Men podcast with Toko and Flaco. We'll talk to you guys later.